I'm Justin Davis, and this is Joe Camp's RC. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you're having a good week this week and the world's not ending where you live, because it seems to be ending everywhere. It just seems to be totally crazy out there. But we can always run back to what we love the most, our hobby, and it kind of takes our mind off the bad things that are going on out there in the world. So here we are today for another escape from reality. We have the BAT 100 here to check out. And I'm going to give you some opinion on this particular quad. And I'm going to tell you about the way I have it set up and maybe some suggestions for you if you decide to get this one. Now, 1S, this is pretty cool. It's very, very small. It's rocking some pretty cool stuff on here. It has a 16mm sized flight controller on here with Omnibus F3 firmware on there, and yes, it's running Betaflight 3.1, so that's pretty cool. This one does have a built-in or soldered on beeper on the very top, very nice, but this one doesn't come with a receiver, so keep in mind you're going to need to add a receiver on this one if you decide to get a 1S quad, something like the BAT 100. You will need some type of S-bus or PPM receiver, and that just solders on the very front of the board right there. Now, speaking of the board is super cool. It's a teeny 1S F3 flight controller. Like I said, it is running Omnibus F3 software, so yes, it's very compact. Little USB port on the side right here, and it's an F3, so I'm expecting it's going to fly pretty decent with the default PIDs setup in Betaflight, so I'm happy about that. Now, what I'm interested in is the fact that it is running this 1S 500 milliamp battery. Is that going to be enough? But I have a feeling it's going to be, because this is very, very similar, strikingly similar to different quads that we flew last year with those ominous brushed motors on there. So very similar prop size to those old school 2016 micros that we were flying, but this looks like a really nice upgrade from something from last year. The same type of camera on here, and let's just double check here. This one is actually a version 1.2 on this one. So this one's actually a little newer camera than what I have on here. Yep. A little newer, so very interesting that this has a newer camera on something. So it appears that they have some older camera on here, but from what I saw from the other reviews, it seems like this works really well. So I'm not a huge fan of these all-in-one cameras. I think we should all get away and start to use things like this. RunCam Micro Swift is probably my camera of choice for most of my micros. If you wanted to upgrade this, you probably could do that. It looks like it actually might accept it in here, but it's going to be pretty tight. You would also need to use an external VTX with this, so that might be adding too much weight to this 1S power combo we have here. So everything on here seems to be perfect for this setup. The next thing we have to talk about is the ESC, the 4-in-1 ESC on the bottom here. You can see the motor wires are soldered to the tabs along the side. If I can get this to focus here, right along the side, and it is running Scilabs firmware on here, BL Heli, and these are 6-amp ESCs, by the way. So I'm wondering if you could run this, actually run this on 2S. It might be pushing it. I don't know if I would try it or not, but it appears that mine is not quite all the way down flush with the board, so you want to make sure that your connectors are nice and flush there. It actually looks like they missed a spacer on mine. There's 3 spacers right here on the bottom, and there's one missing there on that side, so it does appear to be fairly level. Now, they did that on both sides. Well, that's interesting that they did that. You see how it's missing one right there, and then it's missing one right here. So on opposite sides it's missing one spacer, but for a micro I don't think that really matters. It's going to stay in one space. Now, also with this 3D printed camera mount, you probably want to just take this camera off, because the VHB that they use from China from some of these factories doesn't seem to be quite as legit or good as 3M VHB. It seems like a lower quality. Be careful when you're peeling that off so you don't peel any of these chips off the back of this VTX. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my own piece of VHB in there, and I'm going to re-stick it back down, and that's going to make it a lot better. Now, one thing that I do want to show you guys is that I'm going to fly a few different batteries on here. I'm going to try out these HV batteries because this flight controller, ESC combo flight controller, it can handle an HV battery. So maybe an HV battery will make this fly a little better with these brushless motors. And these are also a much better C rating. This is the Crazy Pony. These are actually, well, 30C. Not a huge difference, but any higher C rating and I'll take it. So it's just going to give me a little more power out there. Now it does have this sort of larger style JST connector on it. I'm not a huge fan of these because I don't have a lot of batteries that are 500 milliamp that have that connector on there, and I don't have any converters. So I'm going to be stuck to using this type of battery, or I'm going to have to snip this off and put something like this on there, a JST connector. And some of these quads from last year were actually, most of these were actually using little JSTs and the Hubsan style connector on there. So kind of a change to go for this, but maybe this is a little better power ratio, power voltage straight to the ESC. We'll have to see how that works out. And I'm going to test it stock for you, and then I'm going to test it with the HV batteries as well. Now these aren't very big, they're only 230 milliamp, but this will get me up in the air for maybe a minute or two. We'll see how these do. It would be neat if we could run these in parallel on the bottom of this quad. If I had another one of these to set this up so we could plug both of these in at once, kind of like the Rack and Heli. Now let's go ahead and get the scale and bring it over here, and let's weigh this BAT 100 in real time for you. Let's go ahead and turn on the scale. Hopefully you can see that number there. We'll just put it on there, give you a dry weight. We have 32 grams. That's pretty amazing that this is only 32 grams. Now with the battery, total takeoff weight would be 44 grams. That's pretty competitive to most of the other brushless racers out there. So let's go ahead and weigh that old school 2016 quad. We got 44 grams right there. And 32 grams for the BAT 100. So wow, this is quite a bit lighter. This is a much larger frame, but this has brushless motors on it, so I'm way more excited about this one. Now we also have a couple other quads over here. We have a Babyhawk, and the Babyhawk weighs 60 grams, and that's without props on it. So quite a bit heavier, but it is a much larger quad. And it's 2S as well. So this one's 54 grams, and you saw this one on the channel just yesterday. That's the awesome F100, 54 grams, pretty competitive weight in the brushless micro world. And back to the BAT 100 at 32 grams. So I'm very interested to see how this one flies and performs on 1S. So we'll do a line of sight test first, and then we'll do some FPV with little BAT 100. We'll see you out in the field. Alright guys, here we go. Let's go ahead and plug in the quad, and we'll just do a line of sight test first. We're all good to go there. So I have all my rates set up. I have my rates dialed up to 75, and check out this guy in front of me. He knows that I'm flying this little guy, so no worries. I talked to him before we set up the flying launch pad there. Now, this is super small. It's really nimble. Flying at line of sight is kind of fun because it's so utterly small. It's really a little bit bigger than something like a tiny whoop. They do make prop guards for this, by the way. If you check out the link below, I'll try to add that in the description, because if you add prop guards on this might actually be something that you just about never break props on. My flight test today, I flew 4 different batteries during this flight test, and I didn't break any props. And I did crash. I'll show you guys some crashes, just to be truthful and honest for this review. Now check out this maneuverability. This thing is really snappy on 1S. I'm kind of surprised about that. And I do have my rates moderately high, 7.75. on the super race. So I'm just coming back down. These props perform really well. I was pleasantly surprised. You really don't need tri-props on this particular quad. I feel like I have really nice control over it. There's absolutely, it doesn't feel any, I don't see any vibration for the line of sight. There's no jiggles or wiggles or anything. It's flying really good. Do some throttle pumps there for you, up and down. And this is that HV battery, by the way. This is that Crazy Pony. I believe it was a 230 milliamp 30C. Those motors are super smooth. They seem to be working pretty good. And this is a lighter power to weight ratio. If you fly these batteries, you're gonna get like 2 minutes out of this battery or so. I think that's as long as it lasted before it just died and went on the ground. But with 1S, you're probably going to do that. You're going to just kind of lose power and you're going to drop like a rock. Do some forward flight with it, way out there, probably further than I should. Now working my way back. Can you see it yet? There it is. And there it goes. Can't see it anymore. It's all the way at the over, about 3/4 of the way down the field. Now I'm coming back. This thing is so tiny. It's actually pretty hard to see on the video when you get out more than like 30 feet away. But man, check out that yaw rate. The thing is pretty lit up. But I'm enjoying it. Like I saw the other reviewer had to say that this was one of the best 1S brushless micros that he's flown this year. I have to possibly agree on that. I didn't, I'm not gonna make that a statement for the video title, but this is really a lot of fun on 1S. I'm pleasantly surprised. These new motors are really where it's at. The omnibus flight controller on there, OSD and all that, seems to have everything in this package that you'd want for a 1S micro for under $100. It's not too bad. So let's go ahead and do some FPV now, and I'll get my goggles out. Here we go. We'll take off and do some FPV here. It's the first time I'm flying this. I found a branch right there. Yes, a ghost branch got me right on the first 10 seconds of my battery. It always seems to happen like that. Now, I gotta tell you, this flies extremely different than my other brushless micros. This is feels like a way smaller scale, and it's really insanely floaty. The power to weight ratio is pretty amazing because as I'm trying to power up and go faster, it wants to go higher. Now, that might be able to be changed with a little bit of tuning. Here I am on my second battery, just testing out a little distance with the receiver that I have on here, trying out some trees over there. Now I'm coming back across the field, and I'm gonna go for some more small gaps through here. And you can it really has a really decent punch out on it, which I was surprised. You can really get up there quite well. But what I think the characteristic that I like the most about this quad is the fact that it feels like you're flying like 60 miles an hour when you get close to the ground. And it really is solid in acro. It feels really solid close to the ground. So I feel like I have tons of control, even like inches off the ground, which is really nice characteristic. I'm having to get used to the way this thing flips. Like I said, it is really almost too floaty. But I think once I got used to this quad and the way it flies, I could probably pull off some pretty crazy stuff with it. Mainly because it's so light at around 44 grams that you have a tremendous amount of hang time. There goes another ghost branch there. And you can find gaps and go in really small places with this. Also, if it hit me, it's probably gonna hurt a tiny bit, but it's not going to, probably not gonna hurt me too bad. I'm just gonna try a couple different maneuvers here. A little backflip there. It's kind of cool the way you can see the blue props in the front. Just playing around with those trees over there. And the OSD is nice. It lets me know that I'm getting critically low on this battery. I don't want to wear it out too much more. But check out that it has such a yaw snap on it, a really nice yaw snap. When I fly around the other side of myself and I just crank on the yaw, it really responds well. Doing some more low flying around this tree. Seeing how much control I have going around and through these gaps and trying to choose which one I'm going to go through. So really controlled. I mean, I'm about a foot off the ground right here, which is kind of crazy. Goes a tree flip or a Justin flip right over my own head. I get a little bit of height there. I'm going to try a dive with it and a roll, see how it does coming back to the ground. It can catch itself, no problem. I went a little bit too far out of my range right there. I got an odd situation. And drop signal. And you want to set this to drop if signal lost. That's usually how I set it, so you don't have a flyaway with your quad. You don't want it to go bye-bye. And I've flown quite a few batteries now, and I'm getting the hang of the way this feels, the way this flies. It's really a lot of fun. I feel like I need like 10 batteries for this particular quad. This is one of those ones that you can't fly just one battery with this thing. You have to try this multiple times. There's no way you can fly just a couple batteries. Some quads, the bigger ones, I fly 2 or 3 batteries sometimes, and I'm good to go home. But this one, I stayed out there a solid half an hour just messing around with this one. And the smoke is pretty bad out there today. There's that guy, he was shooting some golf balls next to me. He walked over and they started hitting golf balls in my direction, so I had to just keep an eye on him there. He said he wouldn't hit me, but you know, never turn your back on a golfer if you're standing down the course from, well, it's not exactly a course, it's his course, my flying field. But everybody does their own thing out here, so I won't say anything to that. I just don't want to get hit in the head. But it's doing really nice. Look at that, look how low to the ground that is. It's just, you can almost see the blades of grass getting in so low. Low or high, either way you go with this quad, I think you'll have a good time with it. And I didn't even break a single prop. And there I cut another branch. But this is a good one, you guys. I would definitely check this one out for yourself. Under 100 bucks, I'm gonna give this one 2 thumbs up from Drone Camps. I think it's a great one. It's gonna be a great choice for this fall. So thanks again, take care, and I'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye-bye.